Hello and welcome back to the third video for lesson 3.5. And this one is we're going to look at Cramer's rule. Now, Cramer's rule is something that uses some matrix theory, which you guys haven't really spent any time looking at so far. So I'm going to teach you the basics of it. You'll learn more about why it works later on, but it's just kind of a neat and useful tool that we're going to show you how to use now. Okay, so we're going to start off with this system of equations. We have 3x minus 2y equals 6, and we have 4x minus 3y equals 7. So notice how these are already in that basic standard form that we talked about earlier in one of the previous videos, right? We have our x's and y's on the same sides and our constants on the same sides. Okay, and what's going to happen is we're going to use something called a determinant. Okay, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. So to find the determinant of it, we're going to write a little 2x2 matrix, okay, that involves these four pieces. So this side of our equations. So to do that, the determinant of this equation is going to be 3, 4, -2, and -3. So notice how I just took the coefficients. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to find that determinant, and the determinant is, right, where we take these terms and multiply them together. So this was like A and D and B and C, if you remember the old means and extremes in geometry. So this is going to be 3 times a -3, and then minus -2 times 4. So 3 times a -3 is -9. And then -2 times 4 is -8. So we have -9 minus a -8, which is the same as -9 plus 8, which is -1. So the determinant of this matrix is going to be a -1. Now, one of the cool things about this is I can now take this information that I have here, this -1, okay, and I can determine some other values, okay, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to replace the first column to find d of x, okay, the determinant of the x, so I'm going to take this column and replace my x values, so I'm going to do 6 and 7, and then -2 and -3, and again we're going to find the determinant. So 6 times a -3 minus 7 times a -2. So that would be a -18 minus a -14. So minus a negative, right, is plus a positive. So -18 plus 14 gives me a -4. So that's my determinant for d of x. So d of x equals -4. And then my d of y, instead of replacing my x's, I'm going to replace my y's with that 6, 7. And I'm going to do the same exact thing. Okay, I'm going to find the determinant of those values. So cross multiply, so 3 times 7 minus 4 times 6. So 21 minus 24, which would be -3. So my d of y equals -3. Now, one of the cool things with Cramer's rule is we've solved our equation essentially without even realizing it already. And that's because Cramer's rule states that our x value is just going to be d of x over d, and our y is going to simply equal d of y over d. So the determinant of our x over the determinant of the entire thing is going to be our x value, and the determinant of y divided by our determinant of the entire thing gives us our y value. So for x, we look up here, we have -4 as my d of x. So x equals -4 divided by the determinant of the entire thing, which was -1. So -4 divided by -1, which is just 4. And then y is going to equal my d of y, which is our -3 divided by our determinant of the entire thing, which was -1. -3 divided by -1 is just simply 3. So that means my answer to this one is just simply 4, 3. So this is kind of a neat adaptation, and especially in circumstances where your numbers are not pretty, shall we say, this can be super helpful. So this is kind of a neat method. There's only one on your homework tonight, or two on your homework tonight that I'm going to tell you you really need to use Cramer's rule, and then you're going to have one where you get to pick for yourself. So again, hopefully this makes sense to you and you understand that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much.